So you've been doing high fat carnivore for a year and you're still ravenous, you're still not seeing any weight loss, you're not seeing really any progress, and you're wondering what you're doing. In this video, I'm going to explain to you the leptin shift that makes high fat feel very different. First thing I want to talk about is time frame. It can take up to a year for people to fully fat adapt and be utilizing high fat, especially when it's done properly. So if you just dive right in and you start eating excessive amounts of fat overnight, you will not properly adapt, you will likely gain weight and not feel well. So I will walk people through a process of slowly introducing the right types of fats depending on their bio-individual needs. And it can take time. It can take 3 months, 6 months, sometimes a year, depending on the status of their internal organs, their liver, their gallbladder. If someone needs to detox mold toxicity, Lyme disease, this can place an extra burden on the liver and kind of put a pause button on it while you're detoxing, but detoxing is an essential part of healing. It doesn't always happen overnight or in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It actually is a process, and it looks different from person to person. Now, early fat loading really does promote satiety and nervous system safety. So when you're dropping your carbs, it's very important to increase the fat, calories equated. And if you do that, your body will recognize fat as a fuel source and it will click, become fat adapted, and feel safe and supported. This is what we want to happen. Now, this can take time, but it can happen in 90 days. It can happen in a year, like I said, depending on digestive, detox, toxic burden. Let's talk about leptin. Leptin resistance is very common, especially at the start. And leptin resistance takes time to reverse. This is going to make you feel like you're a bottomless pit, like you can't trust your satiety signals. And if you have cortisol dysregulation, that can blunt your appetite. So you might be ravenous all the time, or you might be saying, I have no appetite ever. In either scenario, that's not a healthy place to be. And in either scenario, one can be leptin resistant. What happens when someone starts to become leptin sensitive? As leptin signaling eventually improves, which it will, when your body is given the proper tools to heal, upregulate, and thrive, that leptin will start to drop your appetite for fat. And so what I'm going to be doing is climbing, upregulating, healing. Women get their hormones back, their cycle comes back, their sex drive comes back, hair is growing back thicker. And then at some point, I usually hear them say, I'm having aversions to fat. I don't get it. I've been eating high fat. I've been doing what you're saying, but today I just can't even look at it. Very often, this can be leptin signaling kicking in. Leptin literally gives your body permission to burn its own fat. It is communicating from your fat cells to your brain saying, hey, we have this much fat to be used in storage, and now I'm giving you permission to use it. And when that happens, your brain isn't going to want as much dietary fat because now it knows you've got all of this fat on your body to tap into. That is the beauty of leptin. When leptin signaling starts to improve, your cravings for fat, dietary fat, will come down. Now, I don't mean that you're going to start craving chicken breast every day, but you will not want as extremely high fat when that happens. Unless you are sub 16% body fat, you're very, very lean, and you simply require that much dietary fat. But if you have fat on your body and leptin signaling is working, at some point you will start having aversions to fat. This is normal. And this is something that most people do not experience, even on this way of eating, because they're never properly adapting or getting to that point. This means that needing less fat later on in your healing journey is not going backwards, it's actually progression. It means that you have become leptin sensitive and now it's working properly. Finding the right fat to protein ratio balance looks different from person to person, again, depending on lifestyle, the demands of energy, how much fat you have on your body, your goals, if you're trying to become pregnant, etc. But you need to know that craving fat in the beginning is good. Craving excessive amounts might mean that you're never really tapping into proper leptin signaling. If you need help figuring this out, check out my links below if you're interested in group coaching or one-on-one coaching. And as always, I would love to hear from you topics that you would like me to cover